I'd like to welcome everybody on behalf of GUMBO. We are sponsoring this to hopefully inform you a little bit more about what's going on with the BP fine money. We're very fortunate that we have in our audience a lot of elected officials from the local, state, and from our Washington delegation, and that's a great honor to have down here on a beautiful, beautiful weekend. GUMBO, if you don't know, is a lobbying group. We are a unified group that from Foley, Gulf Shores, Orange Beach, and surrounding areas to try to do what we can to assist and support and lobby for the things that go on in the South Alabama area, specifically our area, and we've been very fortunate to be able to work with some great elected officials. Today is an information day. It's all about education. It's learning what BP and the federal government are working on and what they're doing and what we're doing on these guys' behalf. And so you didn't come here to listen to me, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce to you. First speaker today will be, well, I need to say this. Governor Bentley and Senator Shelby both had prior engagements, were not able to be here. They both said that they are 100% in support of what we're doing and that they will continue to fight for every dime that belongs to the NRDA and to the Restore Act. And I think those are two very positive statements that come from those two gentlemen. And I'd just like to make sure that everybody knows they weren't here because they didn't want to be. They would have liked to have been here.
Our concern is that the Restore Act, which we worked so hard as a team to pass, and we think best solves the needs of the state of Alabama, might be diminished, and that funds paid through that would be paid by BP, more of those funds might be shifted to the NRDA process rather than to the Restore Act process. And there's several issues there. One is that the NRDA process is tax deductible for BP. So obviously, if they've got a certain amount of money they want to pay, they'd prefer to pay it under the fund that's tax deductible. And their lawyers, I'm sure, are working toward that end. And we believe that the Congress dealt with how the money should be dispersed and handled under the Restore Act, and that is the best way for the money to go.
I think we all have a very legitimate question, and that is, what is the federal government doing behind closed doors in negotiating a settlement that could be an end run around legislation that was signed into law by the President of the United States just a few months ago? Now, we understand that sometimes when you're dealing with something this important, that those negotiations need to be confidential. But the media reports that we have all heard and read over the last few days, if true, are more than just troubling. They're downright offensive to think, with an oil sheen still coming up at the site of BP Deepwater Horizon, that the Justice Department could possibly be negotiating to the benefit of the polluter to the detriment of the victims who live here on the Gulf Coast. It's totally unacceptable if true, and if it's not true, then it can be cleared up very simply. The Restore Act is still the law of the land. And so all the Attorney General has to do, he doesn't have to disclose the confidential negotiations. No one's asking him to do that. But all he really has to do is take this option, if it's true, off the table, so that we don't give the tax credit to BP, but that the credit goes, as the Restore Act intended, to the victims, which are the people who live along the Gulf Coast of America.